the SEC Big Ten situation, what do they do? What happens? Like, what can it possibly? It looks like it's all funneling down to that.
Yeah, well Sankey feels like he's saying we're not adding, and that's what he's saying now. Now will there be a differing of opinion whenever you find out what schools are available or what other conferences kind of dissipate? And the only reason why we think there's a chance for another conference to dissipate is because the Pac-12 literally just did that in front of our eyes with live football and live sports being the only thing that moves the needle. Money is being invested massively in live sports coverage from every single platform that exists right now. And there's a lot more existing right now than there ever has been in the past. All the traditional, old school, linear outlets that have covered sports are still covering sports. USA Network is now covering sports in the Peacock animal. So the amount of people that want live sports, so the fact that the Pac-12 just boom, and they had their best season that they've ever had.
Went to the Natty.
Kind of opened my eye. I had a little naivety. And then for them just to boom, vanish, and then now start the entire, wait a minute, we can start moving and placing, and then with the NIL, and where's the NCAA? It's like, I have no idea what the future looks like, but it does feel like there is going to be a north-south situation happening, And if you start looking at other leagues, there is east, west, north, south. Normally, that is kind of how it's separated. So if college football ended up being a north-south situation with maybe a west, and that ended up being what it was, I think that would make sense. I could see it happening. What it is right now, I could see it remaining. And then having one big entity, I could see happening. I don't think any of us have a clue what 5 years looks like from now in college football at all.
No, at least for right now.
Go ahead, AJ. Go ahead, AJ. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I think it's a good thing about bringing them together is that we get to see the studs play the studs much more often if you do that, if you have only a couple conferences or whatever. So it's great for fans. We get to see the big-time games that you truly want to see.
The thing that sucks, though, is like Washington State. Like, this sucks for them.
Yeah, tough.
They sign Allegiant, and we had our thing, where Lee Corso cracks a great joke. It was like a pretty good joke. And it's not his fault that is the situation, but he was just trying to make a joke. They took it very personally. Obviously, they start attacking Lee Corso. Lee Corso is my teammate, sits next to me, so I am obviously going to fire back. I mean, that's just how I am wired. I think it's been proven time and time again. I think that has kind of been proven throughout my life if you look at it. So I was defending it, and we get into it. But then getting into it is when I really learned about everything that was taking place. Instead of people just calling me a douchebag piece of shit, there was also people like sending like actual information, and it's like they're the losers of this thing. Like they're fearing that their football program's going to be gone. Like they're going to lose football. The Cougs are a massive piece of history in college football throughout the years, and it's like if we do continue to chip away and just make it big dogs versus big dogs, it's like, well, then we got to make D2 bigger then. Like D2 then better start taking like the schools that aren't, in the bigger chapter, because those schools are very vital. They have great fan bases. They have great alumni. They have great facilities. They have great, like what happens there, and all the other sports then too. It's
who's doing any of this too, though? Who's the visionary? Who's out there trying to put all this together?
So this is why I think it's good that Nick Saban's on game day, okay? Because I think Nick Saban, obviously, he starts his career at Michigan State or whatever, Big Ten. I assume there was another school before that. And he talked about how important the Rose Bowl was to him because of his roots in the Big Ten. And obviously, LSU has success. And Alabama, he becomes God and everything like that. But he loves college ball. Like, he loves college football. Went to the NFL, didn't love it. Like, didn't have as much success, obviously. Didn't love it. Loves college ball. But with game day, I think whoever is making the decision, like, I think Saban's going to be wide open. With it, the way he's talking in the SEC is like, hey, this is how this needs to be. This can't happen. This needs to do this. I think we're going to have an opportunity to really hear from somebody who loves the sport. And if you hear Peyton talk, he's saying the same exact shit that Saban's saying and everybody else is saying. It's like, I think we have an opportunity to really make it great. I think there's a chance that we can make the future still what we love about college ball while adding in the, different opportunities of 2024.
And like ideas have been kind of brought up. Like you remember what Chip Kelly said. That felt like the easiest solution where it's two separate 64, team conferences with, 8 divisions within each team. Like if Saban is to say that, that is a much different situation because of who he is, to your point.
Yeah, and then Herb Street is obviously a massive.
Of course.
I mean, I think there's enough people that care about the sport and would, actually, potentially, like die for college football. Like there are a lot of those people out there.
Have them make the decision. You're right. You better consult them, and they better be a huge part of what college football looks like going forward.
Bingo. But now they're not going to be for everything that's potentially has to,
happy medium, right? Compromise. They got to figure something out. Right?
Boom. So I think there is like a way that we can do it, but there's so many decisions that have to be made. So many decisions that have to be made, and humans aren't naturally, great at just making.
Being super decisive like that when it comes to big decisions.
Yeah, and then this one, like we gave you that one, somebody's going to say, and then this one's going to fight directly against this decision, and then the women's volleyball team at this school is just going to get completely because of
so many sports to think about too. That's the problem.
Oh my God! I mean, it's a never end. I don't know how you fix. I have no idea how you fix it. I think that's why we got to this situation where we're at is because. Ideas. It's like, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And I hate being one of those people that's like, I don't have the answer, but I can point out all the problems you have. It's like, well, you're no help. You are actually no help in this entire thing. But it's like we're all seeing it the same way. It's just who is going to have enough time.
That's what it is. Want to.
Morally too, going to have to be good.
Yeah.
There's
Nick Saban's the guy. Looks like Saban's the guy. It feels like. But him and a couple others.
And that's where the want comes into it. It's like Saban just had you mentioned it, he's Michigan State, all those schools. He's been doing, that job of coaching, which I'm now experiencing with Dutch Danger, all that energy and time. Like, he did that for 50 damn years. Like, does he now want to sign up
team
to uniting, every team of every sport of every college in the country? It's
and potentially
so
like ruin his coaching legacy. Like, if people are like, oh, well, Saban was an unbelievable coach, but like, this guy ruined what college football. Not that would happen, but there's definitely going to be a sect of people.
Yeah, because you linking your name to whatever comes next.
Exactly. And also, like, this isn't going to happen for 5 to 10 years. Like, what happens in the interim? Because we were already talking about the Big 12. Like, the Big 12 as we know it right now
is West Virginia's conference. Go ahead.
But it's about to cease to exist. Like,
what are you talking about? GG's about to run wild, bro.
It's not going to be called the Big 12 anymore. Like, the conference itself, like, they've already said, like, hey, listen, we need money, so, like, we're not. It's just going to be the Dr. Pepper conference or whatever. Like,
I don't like that. I forgot we were talking about that.
Exactly. So, like, what happens if that gets to a point where it's like, because the SEC and the Big Ten have kind of already said, like, we're good on expansion. Like, we grab the teams that we want, and if the Big 12 can't come to some sort of agreement to figure this out, where all these institutions can be happy with like their payout or have money to actually operate, then what happens? Like, do they just become independents and they have to schedule? I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years?
Commissioner Sankey, I come to you a humble man. If everything happens here with everything, as doomsday people have kind of projected, we'd be honored to have West Virginia in the SEC, okay?
Wow.
Now, I do know that West Virginia actually, the state itself, left Virginia so that it could be a part of a northern Eastern Conference in a particular battle that was, not as long ago, but, back in the day. But we would love to be a part of the SEC if this all comes to fruition, because the Big Ten was too scared to sign us. You remember? They're like, give us Rutgers, not West Virginia. Do you remember when the Big Ten did that?
Not too scared. I think it's more just like...
No, that was shortly before you guys were like, we're not playing football during COVID. Do you remember that?
I don't know if that was ever on the table even.
It certainly was.
It wasn't. They grabbed Rutgers because they said, hey, listen, we want the New York City area, which, let's be honest, no one in New York City cares about A, Rutgers, or B, Big Ten.
You better watch your mouth. Let's not talk bad about Rutgers. Let's not talk bad about Rutgers.
Just Tony.
Shiano, man, is obviously on top.
They're pretty legit, though. He's the guy for the job.
Whoa.
They are. They're much better. They're much better with
They had Ohio State on the ropes for about 2 quarters.
They almost beat Michigan
as well.
I would like to go back in time because I was nowhere near at the stage that I am now with West Virginia, just like, or where we are now in the knowledge of the entire thing. West Virginia ending up in the Big 12 as opposed to the ACC that's right there, Big 10 that's right there, like any of that as the Big East, which I think should have never broke up.
They feel like a Big 10 team to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Like, we're right there.
With Penn State, too. Like, it would have made sense because you kind of have that, like, little panhandle that you could go, like, teams would go to. Like,
and Pitt goes to the ACC. It's like, we're right there.
Yeah.
In like, Maryland's in the, they're in the Big Ten now.
Yeah, they are.
It's like Maryland, old school rivalry. They're in the Big Ten. Pitt, massive rivalry. They're in the ACC. Penn State, old school rivalry. They're in the Big Ten. It's like there were so many options. So us to end up at the Big 12, I love being there. It's our conference now. We're about to run wild, obviously, all over it and everything.
Tell
but
it to Gundy.
Those conversations are all going to take place, and Ollie Gordon is certainly a dog. I mean, that is certainly something. And I can't wait to see GG run into OG and then Lasisi, who's going in the Big 12.